Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
This town needs an enema.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
Wake up from the ashes. You have my permission to die. This is your liberation.
My mother warned me about getting into cars with strange men.
This isn't a car. 20 years in Gotham. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? He has the power to wipe out the entire human race. Tell me, do you bleed? You will.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
He's a silent guardian. A watchful protector. A dark knight. I'm Batman. Let the games begin.
Welcome to the Batman on Film podcast. Here are your hosts, Bill Jet Ramey and Rick Shue.
Hey now, welcome and thanks for listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, batmanpodcastnetwork.com. I am your podcast host, and I'm also the founder of Batman on Film, Bill Jet Ramey. With me this morning is my crew of BOF Roundtablers, as always, Ryan, Rick, and Justin. All right, Rick, I talked to you quite a bit yesterday. How you doing today, man? Tired?
For a guy that slept about 8 minutes last night, I'm rocking.
Real quick, tell everybody, go ahead and plug your new podcast, since I was so gracious to produce and did an awesome job producing it as well. Go ahead.
That you did. It's always weird to follow. How do I follow up with such a compliment to yourself?
Just
right.
You know.
Anyway,
just outdo my own self-gratification.
The Left Shoe Politics, our first podcast, is live, and right now I am, and actually Justin is helping me with this. I'm looking to get it up on iTunes and everything rather quickly. It is available on YouTube. The YouTube channel is Left Shoe Politics. That's SHEW, or it's embedded on the leftshoepolitics.com site. Just go to podcasts and you can watch it from there.
All right, very good. Any comments on Vicodin, Rick?
Vicodin's one hell of a drug.
Rick had a little back surgery on Thursday, right? Or Friday?
It was preliminary procedural things that I did on Friday. That was more or less glorified surgery. And then on the 16th, and then my actual surgery is in November. But when they're draining fluids out of joints and shoving in needles in all your disc, and you're out for an hour, and they have to give you pain pills, it's no fun.
All right, hang in there. And Justin's here. Justin and Rick were on the phone for like 12 hours yesterday, according to their conversation. We've all been helping Rick out with his new podcast endeavor. Justin, how you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. No, Rick was just talking to me about his love for Vicodin. It was a love letter, man. This is great.
I called him. I was like, dude, this stuff's so awesome. I'm going to send you some in the mail. I'm going to put it in coffee grinds or throw off the smell.
I knew something was up, I think Friday, when I was getting these strange emails from Rick. And
stranger than normal, you mean?
And then he would write back and said, the Vicodin, it's the Vicodin, guys. I'm sorry. Anyway.
That's funny.
Well, right before we started the podcast yesterday, I had to make an executive decision. I said, I can't stand or sit. I'm like metaphysically trapped. I'm screwed. I can't fit in anywhere and do nothing. I gotta take it. I gotta take one of these things so I can get through. So then I take it, and then I have some coffee. So on our very first political podcast, for like the first hour, like the Vicodin and coffee are kicking in together. I was like, this is crazy. What are we talking about? What's going on?
Well, it was, I sat in here for a little while with announcer Rachel was on Rick's show yesterday, and
she did great.
Yeah, before I went and worked out, I said, I just, threw my hands up. I didn't want to say anything. She said, we're closing down. And so I went ahead and went in there and started working out. Well, about 30 minutes goes by and she finally comes out. I said, I thought y'all were starting to shut it down. She said, well, Rick started going on about this show, this McLaughlin group, and it lasted for a long time. Go ahead. Tell that story, Rick, because that's pretty amusing.
Well, I wanted to go around the round table and ask everyone what made them fall in love with politics, if they can remember. Mine was the McLaughlin Group, which was actually on an episode of Cheers, which, you know, pop culture can open the door to many things for you, basically. But it went on for a little longer than it should have. Now, the good thing is we weren't live, and the moment we were done, the first thing out of my mouth, I went, yeah, guys, that was great. I am definitely going to have Bill edit the hell out of that whole McLaughlin Group moment, so don't worry about that. I think I went for about 45 minutes too long. So, I mean, I acknowledged at the moment but I also got a little emotional because, I mean, he just passed away, and I'm going to miss a show. He's been his show's been a staple in my life since 1990.
Yeah.
You know, since before most people we know were born to interact with us on Batman on Film.
Probably. All right, Ryan, any Vicodin or new podcast stories to tell us this morning?
Fortunately, no. But I was 3 years old in 1990, and my sister was born then. So.
Oh goodness.
All right.
At least you were born.
That's true. It's true.
So, hey, as you guys know, I've plugged my bar before, and I'm not up there running it like I used to, but I'm still there in and out and everything. But every day we put up a thing that says, if you were born before this date, you can't be served, right? I'll just never forget the day that it was like 1993 in May or whatever. And I'm looking at it going, whatever the date was like, that's the day I graduated high school, literally to the day.
Yeah.
And I serve alcohol to those people today. And it just... That'll get you.
Wait till you hit 50, man, and start seeing. Anyway, let's talk some Batman. We weren't going to podcast this Labor Day weekend just to take the weekend off. It's a holiday weekend. College football is starting up. I know I was watching a lot of that yesterday, and University of Texas plays Notre Dame tonight. I'm fired up for. So anyway,
Sooners lost
to the University of Houston. Yeah, and Houston's making a good case to go to the Big 12. They'll probably be there soon. Anyway, but earlier this week, I believe was it Monday, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Ben Affleck, via his Twitter account, posted a cell phone video of some footage from maybe it's Justice League or maybe it's solo Batman film. We don't have any idea, but it was Deathstroke. No idea who was behind the mask or anything else, but it was just, that it was like he was videoing the footage from a monitor and posted it on his Twitter and blew up the internet. So, Ryan, what were your initial thoughts after Mr. Affleck posted the video of Deathstroke?
It just came out of nowhere. I was sitting at work and getting my day started. It was pretty early in the morning, and all of a sudden this random thing comes out, and I saw it like right before people started reporting it. So I was like, what is this? What's happening? And but then it was obvious, like this is some sort of costume test, screen test thing, and it's just very cryptic, very vague, and he literally just dropped the video, and that's it. So it's leaving it up to podcasts and speculation and whatever just to talk about this thing, and it's really cool. I mean, Deathstroke is a great character. I'm sure we'll get into it here in a little bit, but just the way it happened was very cool, very interesting, and it's not something you see a lot. And Ben Affleck being the one that dropped the video, I think is something.
That's the interesting part.
That's the takeaway, I think.
Yeah, Justin, what do you get from the fact that it was Ben Affleck posting the video and not Zack Snyder?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if Ben is a producer, then he has a little bit of carte blanche to. Well,
you're right. I didn't think about that.
But it just seems like it's too early for Batman. But I don't know. Maybe it's never early for Batman. I don't know. It was really cool. I mean, it's only late for Batman. I know. Batman only comes out late. But it's only I don't know. I just think it blew my mind, man, because it came out of nowhere. I'm all pumped about it, but I don't know where it fits. And I kind of don't care right now. I'm kind of just cool that hey, Deathstroke's going to be a part of something. Whether it's Justice League, I don't know, where you want to go yet, Bill, like on speculation and stuff.
Well, just anything.
Yeah,
really,
I just started thinking like, well, if he's in Justice League, is he, is he there to interfere with, Justice League getting the mother boxes? Or one thing I wanted to ask, Dave, is it confirmed or is it rumored that he's going to be the main villain of Batman? Because I don't know what to think about that.
Okay, yet. The Wrap is reporting. The Wrap is a Hollywood trade like Variety and Hollywood Reporter that Deathstroke is the main villain of Ben Affleck's solo Batman film. So, but also note it should be pointed out that it's Humberto Gonzalez, aka El Mayimbe, formerly of Latino Review and now of Heroic Hollywood, who wrote the article. I believe Humberto is now writing for the Wrap. So, and I don't believe this was a story on the Wrap and not Heroic Hollywood. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's posting a lot of his scoops now on the Wrap.
Take that for what you will, I guess. Rick, any thoughts on the fact that Ben Affleck dropped this video and not Zack Snyder?
Well, I've been saying for months that Zack Snyder's director name only now, and it's Ben Affleck's show. That Zack Affleck is directing Justice League. So I think look, and maybe I'm right about that. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. But I could certainly use this to my advantage to that theory. There is no doubt about it. But I for one just was thrilled to see it. I particularly just love how unique. I mean, I can't recall anyone introducing what villains and it's not like the footage was necessarily all that great. Which was awesome. I can't even put that really into words. It just really worked. And when I saw it, I think it was Andy DiGiovanni. I always pronounce his name wrong, so you can probably.
Oh my God,
DiGenova.
Andy
DiGenova. Just edit that out.
Sorry, Andy.
Yeah, back that out. You can edit that out. And but anyway, so
I'm not.
I saw it on Holy Batcast. He tweeted it, and that's how I was introduced to it. And I opened it up and I was like, man, this is extremely cool. Like, what a great idea. And so I was thrilled. I didn't think too much about it at the time in terms of the Justice League, the Batman solo film. Is it weird that Affleck did it versus Zack Snyder? Of course, just sitting, letting the smoke clear, looking back on, and for purposes of this podcast, I really don't have an answer. I don't know. It could be either. It could be Justice League or Batman. Hell, it could be both.
Well, here's the thing. I'm wondering. It's probably nearing towards the end of principal photography on Justice League. The way it's shot and everything, it definitely looks like a costume test, screen test kind of thing.
Yeah.
And obviously they've got access to Justice League's, stuff like it's the Flying Fox, I believe that he's in. You can see the Batmobile in the background. They can have.
I hate that name, the
Flying Fox. Yeah. I wonder if they'll even.
But it's like a name it's like a nickname for a bat. Like
for a bat.
Yeah.
Well, you're true.
I mean, it's no better or worse than the Bat in my opinion.
Well, I was gonna say you can't call it the Bat because the Bat was rises.
The Bat hanger. Yeah, but so they've got all this Justice League stuff that they can use to bolster something like a costume test. So they've got the Flying Fox, they've got the Batmobile in the background, and all this steam and stuff and wind and all that. So I'm not. I think he could be in both movies, either after credit scene or a small part in Justice League, and most certainly the Batman film. I feel like that he's definitely going to be in the Batman film, even if he's not the main guy. And it just makes good sense. Like even if the Batman film was still a little ways off and they're still working on the script, if they know as an absolute certainty that Deathstroke is going to be in the film, it's not too early for them to do tests like this and leverage, sets and things that they've already got, which is something that they've had in mind for things like the Flash cameo in Suicide Squad and everything like that. So,
well, Ryan, real quick, just update us or tell us a little bit about the character of Deathstroke. Honestly, I know who Deathstroke is, and my interaction with the character is really only been through reading Batman comics. If he's ever been, anytime he's been involved in a Batman comic, that's my interaction with that character, nothing else. So go ahead.
Well, he's Deathstroke. His name is Slade Wilson. He's like a super soldier, super smart, super strategy kind of guy. To me, he's kind of a little bit more in the Teen Titans realm of villainy. That's what I identify with him most because of some of the comic book arcs he's been in and some of the TV shows he's been in. But he's definitely a cool character, and I'm trying to. It's almost like if you want to compare him to other Batman villains, he's got like the brute super soldier strength and vibe of Bane, but he's also got the combat finesse of a Ra's al Ghul, which is really cool. And for this particular iteration of Batman, it's going to come out with some really good intrigue and really good, obviously really good fight scenes. You know, I can definitely see sword fights and all that kind of deal, you know, between Batman and Deathstroke, which is just awesome. Anytime Batman has a sword, it's awesome. So I would not doubt that could happen. Deathstroke has been used a lot more in Batman only products lately. So if you think some things I can point to would be he was a pretty major character in the Batman Arkham Origins video game, and he was utilized pretty well in that game, and the costume in that game and what you see in this test footage looks pretty similar. They used Deathstroke in the Son of Batman animated film a while back, which I thought was kind of a cool move. And in that film, they tied his origin and his story with the League of Assassins with Ra's al Ghul, which has also been done with Bane before, and that's not a bad move. Would be an easy and cool way to add some more Batman lore into it if they go that route at all with this film interpretation, and of course he's been used on Arrow. Season 2 of Arrow, he was the main villain. Yeah, and that's Arrow's best season, and Manu Bennett played Deathstroke in there, and it was really good. He was really, really good. So
is he straight up? Is he portrayed as a straight up villain most of the time, or is he sometimes anti-hero type guy?
Like he had a series in the 90s, I think late 80s, early 90s, where he was kind of like he kind of towed the line a little bit.
Yeah, who's paying me kind of thing. Yeah. Like Deadshot kind of. And I think wasn't he a kind of a good guy for a while in the New Teen Titans book?
Yeah, he led the team for a little bit, I think.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if he switched sides, or so this guy's paying me, so you're Bruce Wayne, so you pay me more, or
right.
I'm surprised if that happened.
Right.
Go ahead, Rick.
I was going to ask you guys this, because the first thing I think of when I think of him is I think of Teen Titans. And I for one, I'm hoping that we get Nightwing in this DC Extended Universe. I don't know. This sort of makes me think even more that we will. Is that silly for me to make that connection? Does that have anything to do with me thinking that? What do you guys think?
I think Nightwing exists for sure.
Oh, yeah.
He exists in this universe. We haven't seen him yet. So, yeah, I would have, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Nightwing is in the solo Batman film.
Great. Yeah, like, if we're hearing all these, possibility that there's going to be a lot of villains in the solo Batman movie, then I would kind of hope that there's also the possibility that we'd get plenty of Batman heroes.
Well, when this goes back to our conversations back with BVS when it came out, asking, whose suit is that? What Robin seized? Which obviously would sort of lead into whether or not Nightwing is in existence or not. I for one think he probably is. I agree with you, Bill. And when I saw this, I thought, man, that's pretty cool. That means Nightwing's probably definitely around somewhere.
Yeah, even though they haven't said it officially anywhere in any of these DCEU films, apparently the dead Robin is Jason Todd. I know we debated could it be Dick Grayson, but I think it is Jason Todd, so that means Dick Grayson is still alive, and he probably was the first Robin, just like he is historically, and is already Nightwing.
Yeah.
Let me throw this out there.
And I for one am down for that, by the way. I'm good.
Okay, I put a poll up on Batman on Film regarding Deathstroke, and the question was, should Deathstroke be the main villain of the solo Bat flick? And here's the breakdown. You had 459 votes, which is a decent sample. 52.07% say the main villain no, a secondary character yes. In second place at 33.33% was yes, sounds awesome, and he should be the only baddie in the film.
Wow.
Those two choices got by far the most votes. Basically 85% of the poll. 10% doesn't care, and only 4% said no, he shouldn't be in it at all. It should be a name, quote unquote, name Batman villain. Of those two top choices, the name, which was the main villain, no, a secondary character, yes, that's what I voted.
Mm-hmm.
How do y'all?
Yeah, I agree. I don't want him to be the main.
How do y'all think about? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like if Affleck put out there, we're gonna make the ultimate Batman film. I think it needs to have, all, the name brand villains, Deathstroke's not really, we already talked about, he's not really a main Batman villain. I like him. When him and Batman go at it, it's a great pairing because, Deathstroke's skill, just because he's got enhancements kind of he outdoes Batman in those areas. I mean, he's got the strength of 10 men or whatever it is. So it's an interesting pairing, but for him to be it's almost like him going against Bane or something again. And, I don't know. I'm not against that idea. My preference is I don't want to see that. Maybe if he's running around releasing villains or something.
Yeah.
Some type of, he's being paid by Waller or something. I don't know. But, I don't see him as the main antagonist.
Yeah. I mean,
Rick, where do you fall on that?
I'm torn on it, Bill. Nolan gave me such.
Well, I know, but you're also a proponent of Leto coming back as the Joker, though, right?
Of course I am. And he will, and he better. I hope so. That'll be
absolutely.
Oh yeah,
sure. And I'm very spoiled because Nolan gave me perfect cinematic villains, and so now I'm open. Now, what I do want to see, so I'm good either way, because if they make him the main villain and it works, that's all that I care about. Just make it work, whatever you choose. But I do want to see a cinematic Penguin and Riddler be done justice. And I'm sure that will happen. I have no doubt about it. So, I'm good. As long as I get my Penguin and my Riddler that are done the way they need to be done, because they haven't been done in film yet, then rock and roll, man. I'm good. I'm good.
You would prefer a Deathstroke being a secondary character, right?
No, I'm not necessarily saying that. No, I'm look, man, I'm flexible on this. Just make it work. Give us a cinematic Penguin and Riddler at some point that we can be proud of. If Deathstroke's the main villain and it works, man, I'm good, right? I don't really care. That's all I'm asking is to get those two, and then we can open up the door to some of these more ambiguous characters that mainstream audiences don't know. Because there's nothing cooler than when filmmakers do take that leap and it works, and then suddenly that character becomes, by virtue of popularity of the film, become like a mainstream character. I'm good with that. If that happens to Deathstroke, that's awesome.
Well, that's like with Ra's al Ghul and the Scarecrow and Batman Begins, and then of course Bane. I thought Bane was done better in Dark Knight Rises than he was in the comics.
Yeah.
That's just me. All right, Ryan, what do you fall on
Me
this?
too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I can't wait for our Dark Knight Rises podcast. I was thrilled when they when they said that Bane was going to be the villain. On that poll, I voted I don't care, because I just don't care. It's cool, but I am kind of along for the ride with this particular film, and whatever they decide to do, I am going to back.
And Ryan, I want to piggyback just 2 seconds. I'm along for the ride. That is exactly what I was trying to articulate. Thank you. I'm with you.
I mean, that's what that response on the poll kind of said to me. They can do what they want.
Yeah.
Well, what I found really interesting about this revelation is that just a few days prior we had recorded our BOF podcast, and we were just talking about how Bane could be used in the DCEU, to break people out of Arkham or anything like that. And I think Deathstroke could serve a very similar purpose. He's not the kind of character that would have a master plan that he wouldn't do things like break people out of Arkham just to do them. But if somebody's paying him or wants him to affect Batman a certain way, I don't think it would be beyond him to do something like that. So I could, that or whatever they do, I can see them using Deathstroke as a framework for a larger story that involves other Bat villains. And
And it certainly doesn't take away from the rumor that part of the film or whatever percentage of it, I have no idea, would be set in Arkham, and all the a good chunk of Batman villains.
Yeah, I mean, just think
depicted in the film.
Yeah, just think of Deathstroke like hunting Batman in Arkham Asylum while being a thorn in his side while he tries to get through it or something. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's tons of stuff they could do with him. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be cool. But my question is, before this revelation, or even right now, if somebody asked you which villain or villains do you want to see in this solo Batman film, where would a Deathstroke have been on your list of characters?
Oh gosh,
if at all. Would you even have thought about him?
No, I wouldn't even thought of it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I wouldn't have thought of it
at all. I wouldn't either, because I would immediately jump to villains I feel like deserve, justice in a new Batman iteration. I would go through Batman villains, things I identify as Batman villains, and since Deathstroke is not really on there, I don't think I would have set him until quite lower. Like, even if you asked me that before Dark Knight Rises, Bane would be way higher than that. But not to say that they can't do something really cool and interesting with him, but that's just me.
Mm-hmm. Rick and Justin, what do y'all think? Did you thought of you?
No, I wouldn't. Nope. I would have went just straight up, like, all classic Bat villains, but I agree with you, Ryan. Like, I'm along for the ride. I'm just excited for what's coming. Like, if he's in Justice League, which I feel like he's more going to be a part of Justice League, great. If he's in Batman, great. The one thing that Ben Affleck said is, why he's executive producer. Remember, he was saying, I'm doing this because I have the ability to control, like, what's going to happen to my movie.
Yeah.
So it's a little telling that, maybe he does tie into Batman because, Affleck put it out there. Maybe he is, okay, cool, this can help, give a little fire to what I have, coming out. We have a cool idea. Deathstroke's in it. You guys speculate all you want, because you got 2 years.
Exactly.
Till this thing comes out. So just his way of A, having fun with the fans, B, it kind of got me pumped again, because a couple of weeks ago we were like, oh man, is Affleck, is he jumping ship to this other film? Is he, trying to weigh his options or whatever? And it just kind of re-solidified that, like, dude, he's in this. You don't play, when I say play around, I mean it in a good way. Like, you don't play around with the fans and send them.
You're not invested.
Yeah, you don't do those types of things. So it just made me feel like, man, his boots are on, his Batman boots, and they're in, man, and he's gonna go along for the ride. And
he absolutely is, Justin, and I think that the backlash of these films probably has just pumped him up even more.
That's what I said, like, right after BVS came out.
Now there's a breaking point with this, though, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm concerned about the next two films and then Affleck's future, but this does help. It gave even me a little bit of peace of mind that loves him in the role, that wants to see him continue in the role, that likes this universe, loves the characters in it, but wants to also love what is being put on film. And I think we're going to get there. I really do. If you don't mind, I'm going to just propose a quick question because I'm
all right.
And just everybody just kind of jump in here if you don't mind. But if you guys could choose two characters, okay, that would be in the next two films, two villains, who would they be? I mean, like I already said mine. I want to see a Riddler and Penguin because I don't like the way they were portrayed in Batman Returns and Batman Forever. So that's what right? What about Justin? What about you?
Oh man, who would I want? Just like I like the idea of the Riddler, but I got to think of something different. You know what? Like I would. Man, I'm not dying for a Man-Bat. I'm interested into how he would play off in maybe a larger storyline.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Man-Bat's not even my favorite thing, but the first thing that popped in my head is like, I wonder how they pull that off because I feel like they want to. They've kind of hinted at like Bat creatures before, in Batman Forever, and even in BVS, they had that 2 second, enough to produce a terrible action figure of it, this like Bat thing. So. I'm interested in how that would work. Clayface would be really fun.
But do you think that Clayface would? I don't mean to like counter your answer.
No.
So, but
that's what's fun about questions.
But do you think that you really would you want to see? I don't know. When I think of Clayface, I just think of things that sound good that probably wouldn't be executed well on in a live-action film. But I don't know what.
I think we've reached the point where all these big name Batman villains have kind of mostly had their day, and when you get down to characters like Man-Bat and Clayface, you just kind of they need to be kind of supporting roles.
Yeah, but you know what?
Main villain.
I don't need another Catwoman or Bane. I really don't even. We didn't really need another Joker, but he's there, and I get that he has to stay. It's the Joker, but he's the ultimate villain to Batman. But I don't think the Riddler and the Penguin have been given their day. In fact,
no, they haven't.
No,
that's what's hard. That's what's hard because like there's 5 characters that I think are the main DC Batman villains that people want to see. Yep. I would love to see another Ra's al Ghul story, but again, it's weird. It's like, man, Nolan.
Don't want to be selfish.
Yeah, well, Nolan did a good job, and I don't want to see that again. But at the same time, I do want to have a story where it's straight out of like the comic where Ra's al Ghul's in the Batcave and he's like, hello detective, blah blah blah, and he kidnapped. Yeah, Batman takes shirt off and fights him.
There was a lot of Nolan took a lot of liberty with him, and I talk about this ad nauseum in reviews I've written for BOF and for the Nolan trilogy. It's all there, all the elements, even him living on forever is there if you just look closely. But still, he did take a lot of artistic freedom with him, so I think there is actually a lot of room where he could come back and they could do more or less a 180 from what Nolan did. I want to see a Penguin. I'm just going to harp on this one more time. This is what I want to see. I want to see a Penguin that looks like he just walked off the set of Goodfellas and walked right into a DCU film.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
That's what I want. And I want a Riddler that looks like he's akin to Kevin Spacey in Seven. That's just in my head. So maybe I'll get it. But. Yeah.
Well, the Riddler in the Arkham games, really, I really like the idea and concept of him in those games. His visual looks really cool to me. Like, they pull off the coat and all that type of stuff. Well, yeah. I'm kind of reaching, but we had Two-Face, but I'm a really cool Two-Face story where a lot of his interactions are, with Robin and, I don't know, getting to Batman through his family would be interesting.
Yeah. Well, and build off of that comment we had in BVS, which a lot of people think was, Harvey Dent related.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, if Batman is in his mid-40s, the entire Rogues Gallery exists, Yeah, and I'll throw this out there. Just one thing about, I would have a hard time with Clayface being a villain, and if he's depicted as a shape-shifting pile of mud. I would have issues with that in a live-action Batman film. Now, maybe if you did it a little differently and went back, I say differently, but back to the original incarnation, the Basil Karlo
kind of guy,
where he's a master disguise type person. Maybe that could, but again, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they'd go Clayface. Anyway, how about, I've said this for a long time, I would love to see Hugo Strange.
Oh yeah,
in a Batman film.
Now you're talking.
And I do love the Monster Men story because even though that's kind of gets to the fantastical, it's something that I also can, you can squint your eyes and still think, well, that's almost possible to have some kind of serum or something that can mutate someone into a monster of some degree. But I don't know if they would ever go that route, but I would like that. I mean, you could even, like in Arkham City where, Batman.
Yeah.
It's essentially he's in Arkham, which has now become part of they've taken part of Gotham and made it a prison, whatever it was, Arkham City, and Hugo Strange was the main villain in that particular game, but and on the other hand, I don't want to copy the Arkham stuff, make it identical. It may take some inspiration from them because they were such great stories, but that would be what I would throw out. And of course, I want, and I've said this many times, there's no way in hell that Jared Leto took that role as the Joker, and he and Warner Brothers, and probably Ben Affleck as well, did not plan on having Batman and Joker confront each other in a film again. There's just no way.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I would hope that they would not look at the Hugo Strange from Gotham. Because, but hey, if they want a bunch of villains, they could do what they did in Gotham and just have Hugo Strange create like every Batman villain, and there you go.
Yeah,
I didn't watch.
If you guys ever want to do a podcast,
what I said's true.
If you guys ever want to do a podcast that's just dedicated to Gotham, I'm going to be sick. I'm going
to do
sick.
Rocky first.
I'm going to be sick of it. Dude, we have to do a Rocky podcast, Ryan. Have to. Yes.
I've only watched the first half of the first season of Gotham, and then I kind of sporadically watched the second half. I did not watch one episode of season 2.
Good.
And ironically, I just got a reviewing copy of Gotham season 2 that I'm supposed to review, and I've kind of been putting it off. That means I have to sit down and watch the episodes. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
You'll just
we'll
get
see.
really grumpy.
Yeah,
that's
probably.
What I did.
Let me throw this. We kind of finish.
I didn't say my 2 villains though.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Please, Ryan, what's your 2 villains here? Please.
Okay, for the sake of conversation, I'll pick some different guys. Definitely, I think seeing a good version of Mr. Freeze would be really cool. There's a lot you can do with him. You can make him not hokey, and he can just be a cool, pun intended, character.
Cool. Yeah.
So, Mr. Freeze. And, I'm a big fan of Bane and Nightfall and everything. And this character's been used a lot more lately too. I would really love to see Azrael get a cinematic treatment, and they could use him as like a villain at first, and then Batman has to figure out what's going on with him, and he becomes an anti-hero kind of thing, and then or maybe he's just on Batman's side after that. Kind of like how they used him in the Arkham games and some of and obviously a lot of the comics. There's cool things you can do with that character, and I think he's a really great character. And again, Gotham screwed him up. So I would like to see Azrael in live action at some point.
Yeah, that would be cool. Let's finish up the Deathstroke part with this question. There's been some speculation of who's behind the mask. Do you guys buy into any of those articles, or do you think that perhaps this was just a stand-in or a stuntman or someone doing the costume tests? Rick, go ahead.
Can I hope that it's Tom Hardy just for wishful thinking?
No, that would be fine.
I would love that. So there's my vote.
But I would
not.
I would bring up only thing with Tom Hardy, and like Ryan said, it's a character that's kind of sort of similar to Bane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he would do some like Rick Flag would have been awesome. I wish he had been able to do the Rick Flag role. So, but yeah, I mean, hey, that's your opinion. Yeah.
Do you think there's a part of Hardy that thinks he dodged a bullet with that? I know I'm asking you guys to crawl inside the head of someone we don't know. I'm just curious.
Not if you want to talk about the critical reception, maybe, but I mean, the film is it's a success financially. Yeah. Period. There's no way to spin.
And I don't want to spin it. I'm glad that it is a success. That's not. I'm not celebrating that news. That's a good news for me. So, as far as who's in the suit, man, if it's Tom Hardy, that would be awesome. I don't really have any speculation. I think you might be onto something. It might very well just be a stunt double, and they're just doing some test screening, and just to put a little taste out there that there's someone behind that. That he's in the film, the character. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
I don't know. I really think it is that Joe Manganiello dude,
Mr. Sofia Vergara.
Yeah, here's the thing, and I think Mark Hughes put it in his article, but just if you look at a lot of things add up. The math makes sense.
Didn't he start following like Zack Snyder and Affleck and everything on Twitter like that day?
He did.
Yeah, but not even that. I mean, this sounds really dumb because
the way he looks.
This dude is physically like imposing. Like he matches Affleck like muscle for muscle, probably more. But. Mm-hmm. Just like, his new appearance, like his haircut and everything like that. But regardless of all of that, maybe I'll send it later. I took his eyeball and did a comparison to the eyeball,
That's awesome.
in my own Batcave Photoshop.
Okay, you got to send that.
Yeah, I'll send it.
Got to put that up.
Because I'm like,
that's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I was like,
awesome.
It looks like his eyeball.
You're like Batman. You're Batman.
I'm almost like Batman. So I was like, that looks like his eye, man.
You're analyzing eyes like Joe Schumacher used to analyze lips.
There you go.
I was gonna say something, but it would have been taken the wrong way about what Mr. Schumacher was analyzing. But
that's all he did to cast Batman. He just went around to a bunch of actors he thought was attractive, and he put
drew.
Mask. And said, there. I mean, he picked great actors for the roles, just gave him crap movies.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that it's, if it's not, I'll eat crow. Like, in 2 years I'll say, you know what, I was wrong. But I think it's him, man. Like, just, the guy he has a huge presence. He's a big dude. Yeah. And just the guy, whoever's in the suit in this video, I mean, you can tell he's a big dude. Like, Hardy's a small dude,
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah. That's a very good point. I mean,
and they are a little bit more concerned with the DCEU of getting characters that even really do physically match, the characters they're portraying a lot closer.
Is he a big enough name to take that role?
Well, he was up for Superman, and I think he was up for Batman too. I think he's been up for everything. He's just one of those dudes that he's kind of a genre guy. I know, he's not yet exploded yet, and I think
what's his
kind of like how Hardy was in Dark Knight Rises.
Is it Vampire Diaries?
Yeah, Vampire Diaries, and then the last thing I saw him in
was it True Blood?
Oh, sorry, you're right.
True Blood. It was True Blood.
True Blood.
So many vampire shows and movies.
Yeah, True Blood, and then I saw him. The last thing I saw him in was the Pee Wee Herman thing they put on Netflix last year. He was kind of like the I don't know what you want to call it, the inspiration for Pee Wee's travels around the world.
He was Flash Thompson in Spider-Man.
Yeah. That's right, he was Flash Thompson. I wouldn't want to fight me neither. That guy. So. He's got some like pedigree in this type of like film, but there's just what I would say, if you're not super familiar with him, like maybe check out, a little bit of True Blood or whatever, but when he comes around that corner in that video, I'm just like, it feels like it's him. It's because that there's just presence there in those first few steps, costume test or actual footage or whatever it is. You're just like, this is a big, tall dude, man. And
I don't have anything against him if he were cast. I just was playing devil's advocate, bringing up, is he a big enough name actor? Speaking of actors, Rick, do you have any issues with that argument about how big or how small of or lesser known actor he is to take a role in a DCEU film?
I know, I didn't grow up in a world like that. I grew up in a world where this unknown Broadway actor named Chris Reeve played Superman, so I'm good. I think, going back to my Tom Hardy thing, the size factor, that was, and I said it was wishful thinking again, but that's a very good point. That's very likely not him in that suit. Wasn't anyway, but especially now. But if you're going to juxtapose these villains, well, if your frame of reference is Ben Affleck, 6'4", 240 pounds of muscle Batman, it looks like he just stepped out of the damn comic books, then your villains are going to have to have that same contrast, right? Mm-hmm. So That's a good casting decision. He's a freaking machine, man.
All right, I think that's going to do it with the Deathstroke thing, and there's probably still way more to come on that as information comes rolling in on Justice League. I mean, heck, we're still a year and a half from Justice League being released, or close enough.
Yeah.
14 months away, basically, from Justice League, so. A long ways to go on that one. Since we've been covering Suicide Squad so much, we've talked so much about that film over the last month or so. It looks like, I cannot say in any way, shape, or form that, well, I can in one way I can, but, the only way you would say it's not is that it did not do well critically, and maybe that would have helped the box office a bit. But speaking of box office, it looks like it's gonna cross maybe or get really close to 300 million here domestically. As of Friday, it was at 286 million domestic. You guys think it's going to pick up that extra 14 million over the next couple of weeks and get 300 million?
Yeah, I think this weekend is a holiday weekend. I think even the estimates for this weekend might even push it over 300.
Push it over, okay.
And they still need to open in Japan, which is coming up. So
yeah, and Justin said what? It's about $12-14 million a film usually does in Japan.
If it's
a good one.
Yeah, if it's a good one, I think it has a good shot at hitting that. Again, with Katana in it, it could bring out like, hey, there's our hero, or someone who could potentially be a hero we get behind. So
yeah, and without China, they probably left a good $70 to $90+ million on the too. So it's done well.
Unfortunate. That's unfortunate. And I was talking to Mark Hughes on Twitter the other day, and he pretty much had confirmation that it was not going to get released in China. I think we all probably just knew, but just solidified it from someone else in the loop. That's too bad. But hey, listen, they're probably going to get my money one more time because I realize I have not seen it in IMAX 3D.
I haven't seen it in 3D yet.
I've seen it in 3D.
It's been in IMAX.
I haven't seen it in IMAX 3D yet. I've seen it in IMAX twice.
I don't know, Rick. I'd be honest. Is it still playing in IMAX?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's a good question, Bill. I think this AMC Stonebriar in Frisco, it still is.
Okay, because the Silverado here, it's not playing into IMAX anymore here. So anyway, I want to see it in 3D before it ends its domestic run. Does anybody know when it's supposed to be pulled from theaters? Got to be.
No.
Probably sometime mid-September.
I don't even know. So,
yeah, I don't know.
On the spot, I can't answer that question personally.
Well, anyway, it's according to Box Office Mojo, it's at 643.3 million worldwide. So it's going to creep close to 700. You think it'll cross 700, guys?
I think
if you throw in 12, 14 million for the Japan release, that's going to get it into the 660s or so, or close to that. So regardless, it did well.
Yeah, I hope it does, but if it doesn't, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it is what it is, and
600 was the target, so it's done. It's surpassed that, and
here's the good news too for all of us that we had our own mixed feelings on the film, and hell, I probably liked it the least out of all of us, which was the opposite of BBS. Mm-hmm. But in terms of what we can take away from this film and to call it a success, obviously the financial aspect of this is great. That's really good news for it. It needs that. Mm-hmm. It needs that mojo. The reviews are what they are. Those aren't going away. But also that I don't know anyone other than some random haters with Jared Leto, which I don't get. But everyone really liked the cast.
Yeah.
And so everyone's excited to see these characters again and be portrayed by those actors, and that's a big deal, right? That because you might have walked away half-hearted from the film, but you loved Deadshot, right? Well, then you're going to see him in a preview for Justice League, and you're going to go, oh, sweet, he's in it, and just all that, it carries over, so that's good.
I'm just hoping some more positive buzz starts circulating around these DCEU films, and even though they got poor reviews, the financial success is going to help create a little positive buzz, because obviously people went and saw the movie and are now a little bit more familiar with these characters in this universe.
Yeah. I hope they put out we talked about it a little bit, I hope they put an ultimate cutout, but at the same time, I hope they don't put an ultimate cutout.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't want that to be the go-to, like, hey, we'll just put an ultimate cutout. Like, I want the theatrical to be the cut, but I am so curious about a lot of the footage that was taken out of the film.
The Joker stuff.
Yeah.
Based on what I read in the novel, I don't know if that Joker stuff is going to help at all. I think it might make it worse if we see that stuff, but I'm kind of scared of. I'm kind of scared of it, honestly.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up, but I got to ask a few questions here. Rick, you got a Batman story from your youth to tell us, or did you do anything Batman this week?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think I told him the best Batman story from my youth last week about walking in the room and everything. But I'll say this: I'll find this picture, Bill, and send it to you. But I was so just dedicated to being Batman that I did a makeshift costume, because back in the early '80s, going to find a Batman costume, you couldn't find things like that like you can now. You could find a cheap plastic Halloween costume, but only in October. Yeah. So I did this makeshift Batman. I took a blue towel and I made a black bat on the back of it, and then I cut the bottom of it for the, like the wings, and I had a what do you call those little clips you put on chips, like clothespins or whatever.
Yeah.
Put that on my, around my throat, and that moment I was about 7 years old, and I wore that, and I had this thing I was in a school play where I was like a bear, right? And so I used the bear thing for my cowl, and then I took a headband and I pulled the headband down over the bear mask underneath my eyes to make this little, to make it look like that's where the mask broke in half. Dude, it took a lot of dedication. And when you see the picture, guys, you're gonna know that you're talking to a real passionate Batman fan, because that shit's real. It came from
That's awesome.
Well, speaking of Batman costumes, my mom, I've told this before, my mom made me a Batman costume for my 3rd birthday party, and Justin told me last week, after we had finished recording, that picture has become one of those, if you can't be anything, be Batman memes.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. And I went and found it. It is online. That's crazy. So, I mean, I remember getting that costume and wearing it, and I was 3 years old. I could just go on. I mean, I told y'all my mom also brought me to a Barker's department store in Beaumont, Texas when I was probably 5 maybe, to see Burt Ward in his Robin suit signing pictures. And,
awesome.
And, you know, like I said, I've been a Batman fan since before I even remember being a Batman fan. Justin, you got anything this week? Old Batman story?
I have an old. Did I tell the story where I caught somebody in a Batman suit?
No.
Okay, so I'll try to do it quick. So
is this your loss prevention days, dude?
Yes.
We need to have a separate podcast on our loss prevention.
So in college, I was in loss prevention, and it was Halloween, so everyone dressed up. I was like, I'm gonna be Batman, so I had my Batman suit on, and my Batman suit, I thought it was pretty decent suit, you know. I had like the Keaton mask and I had a leathery cape and whatever. Anyway, so our store is super slow during the day, and I see this dude walk in, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna steal. I could just tell, you know. Guy walks over, pockets 2 bottles of cologne. I'm like, oh man, and I'm kind of laughing. I'm like, I'm dressed as Batman, and so I call like the mall guys. I'm like, hey man, I got a guy. He's gonna be exiting, you know, out the south entrance of the mall. Yada yada yada. And so he goes and he hangs a right, and I take off, and the ladies in the cosmetic area, they're all, go Batman! It's fun, because, anyways, I stop him, and I'm stopping him, there was a comic store called Comic Castle, and I stopped him right in front of it, and so he's all, hey man, what's up, Batman? And I was just like, hey, you got my property. And he's like, what? I go, you got 2 bottles of cologne in your front, like, you know, your front left pocket. And he was just like, oh, you know, I had to put him in cuffs, and everyone's watching me like, bust this dude, and they're
awesome.
cheering, and and it's like people are laughing, they're cheering, and at the same time I'm like, how freaking cool is this? I'm Batman.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, and so
that is awesome.
I marched him through. Anyways, the best part is the police department, because you had to call. They took the tape. They're all, this is great, and so I'm kind of bummed I don't have any like video evidence.
Yeah,
so
man.
Maybe somewhere out there, but the best part on the tape though, as you watch, the cape is fluttering through the store as I ran out. It was awesome. It was just like in Batman vs Superman where he broke into LexCorp, but not really. But not really.
Just swooping down, like grabbing the guy. That's awesome.
That's probably one of my favorite. I have other ones, but that's for a later show.
I don't know if anyone can top that.
Justin, I used to have I used to have a tape that I made. I probably could go to jail for this. It was called Busted 1997, and I just went in with a VCR tape. And I made a compilation of all these busts that I did at Sears in 19. And dude, there's some that I'm going toe to toe fist fighting with a few people.
Oh man!
One guy bites me. Back in those days in Texas anyway, you could put handcuffs on someone if they had theft by deception. So like the guy took a wallet up to the counter and he just got cash back, and I was able to throw handcuffs on him right there. I mean, it was awesome, and it's good. And I lost it in a move, and it's just gone forever.
Busted 97.
I just wish that we could have we could share these little videos.
Busted 97 with Rick Shoe.
Yeah.
What? Yes. The Busted 97 podcast.
Oh, that's great.
All right, Ryan. Anything you want to share a Batman story or do anything Batman this week? Oh, I got one thing I did. There was a super cool Batman Day T-shirt.
Yes, I got one.
I got the one with the Batman logo, and it has Kate Crusader and Dark Knight and Bruce Wayne, Protector, Defender on there. Yeah, awesome.
I got the other one. I got the Frank.
Oh, the Frank Miller one?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, where are those at?
Those are on DC's DC Collectibles website.
Yeah, like the Warner Brothers shop, DC shop. Yeah.
And you can only get them there. But I think that's really cool because Batman Day is coming up, and this year they did make exclusive shirts. So I got one, and I'm definitely gonna do the whole Batman Day thing where
I'll send you a link, Justin.
Oh yeah,
and Rick, I'll send you one too because I know you like Batman shirts. So go ahead, Ryan.
Come up with some cool idea for a Batman Day podcast or something.
Yeah, we will. Y'all think about some stuff. Go ahead.
Well, Batman-ish things. I actually started rewatching Batman the Animated Series, and I have not done that in years. Like legit, try to just watch all the episodes, and I've gotten up to the Mr. Freeze episode, and it's just...
Well, speaking of that, Ryan, if you need something else to do, I've got several episodes that have yet to be reviewed of that series on Batman on Film. So,
of animated series. Phew.
Yeah, the animated series. I think there's about half of them that's been reviewed. So.
Well, I have to take a look at where it stopped because I'm having fun rewatching them. And episodes like as a kid that I probably just never saw or don't remember, like It's Never Too Late. That's a great episode, and that's just like right out of like a 70s comic or something, and it's just one and done good Batman stories. So I'm having fun doing that. And let's see, there is a new iTunes review, and it's short, and I guess I'll read it. This review is from Adam Snow. It was left on September 2nd, so a couple days ago.
Okay.
The title is BOF Tells It Like It Is, and it's 5 stars. And it reads, I have been a fan of Batman on Film since 2004, and later, when they started their podcasts, I listened to every episode. Their first volume of podcasts were not coming out as often as I would have liked, but that never was to say that the quality was bad. Now with Volume 2, the podcast is in stellar form and being released on a consistent basis, and is great to listen to week in and out. Keep up the great work.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Dude.
I didn't want to interrupt you. Remind me again of where that source was at, please.
That's on iTunes.
It's on iTunes.
Look at the iTunes reviews.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing that, buddy. That's great, man.
You're welcome. And thank you, Adam Snow.
All right. Very good. Very good. Oh, I got a copy of the Batman Unlimited Mechs vs. Mutants for DVD on DVD to review the movie. And am I wrong to be like super fired up to watch this?
No.
Not at all.
Okay. All right, I like this stuff. Have you seen it yet? Are these yet, Justin? Didn't you tell me?
I haven't seen them. It's just one of those. I need to make it happen. I'm a terrible father.
Yeah, your boys would. I mean, your boys would like that.
Well, you know what? My kid's super like he's super traditional, man. Like he's all, Dad, I don't like how that Batman symbol is.
Well, you know what?
Perfect.
I don't blame him. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the blue mask and blue cape and everything, but you know, it's still pretty good. It's still good stuff.
Justin, aren't you making a kid-friendly cut of BVS?
Yes, I am making the kid edit.
I want to see it.
That's awesome.
The kid edit of BVS. It's 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
No.
All right, let's plug some stuff. Justin, go ahead and plug whatever.
Yeah, we just put a new episode of Let's Go podcast out this week, and that's ready. So if you'd like to listen to it, give it a listen. Let me know what you think. And then if you want to hang out on the internet with me, I'm J_Rocco on Twitter, and that's all I got.
Okay. Ryan?
Follow me on Twitter at SMB_Ryan.
Anything else?
Just keep leaving us iTunes reviews. Those are fun. And keep subscribing to the Robin Everyone Loves the Drake podcast on YouTube. They're trying to get up to 100 subscribers.
Very good.
Yes.
All right, now for the next 15 to 20 minutes, Rick's going to talk about John McLaughlin. Go ahead.
Predictions, Pat.
Plug something, Rick.
I already plugged the Left Shoe Politics podcast. Announcer Rachel takes me out. I want to plug in Announcer Rachel. Even if you're not into politics or don't like our point of view or whatever, I would just listen to the podcast for at least 10 minutes just to listen to how awesome Announcer Rachel was. I'm going to give a clap here. She was amazing. And so I wanted to give a shout out to her that I appreciate her very much. Guest starring yesterday, and I hope she comes back for another intelligent chat.
She did a good job. I was proud of her. All right, guys. For Rick, Ryan, and Justin, I'm Bill. Take it away, Announcer Rachel, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. You can listen to the podcast via iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spreaker, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Follow Jet on Twitter at Batman on Film and on the BOF Facebook fan page at facebook.com/jet.batmanonfilm. Email Jet via jet@batman-on-film.com. Follow Rick on Twitter at ShoeRick and on Facebook at facebook.com/BOFShoe. For Jet, Rick, the BOF Roundtablers Justin and Ryan, I'm Announcer Rachel. Thank you and good night.
Deep within the bowels of the city, a solitary dark-clad figure sits nestled in the shadows of a vast, sprawling cavern. Here the most modern scientific equipment looms beside the most ancient tools of the murderous art. and countless unique trophies stand in mute testimony to the ability of one man. It is a cavern filled to bursting with the stuff of legend. The untold legend of the Batman.